All right, welcome to this bonus episode of the Books, Beards, Booze podcast, where what do? We talk beards and read booze and
at this
drink
point
books or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But this is where we're going to do a deep dive on our read along of.
I'm not sure deep dive is the right word.
We're just going to talk.
We're just going to run our mouths about.
We're going to run our mouths about Talion, Revenant,
yeah.
By Michael Stackpole. In case you missed it, we did, I think it really was just three of us, me, you, and Superfan Tanya, reading it. But we read the book, and we put up, blog posts where me and Derek kind of discussed what we liked and what we didn't like. And now that we've finished it, we're just gonna talk about it. And I'm gonna put Derek on the spot. If you had to assign this book a number between 1 and 5, and you can use halves. So let's say 1 and 10.
There you go.
I was thinking about Goodreads, if you're doing it on Goodreads. Well, I don't know if you can do a half on Goodreads.
I don't remember.
I don't think you can. Anyway, number 1 through 10, where would you put this book? Oh, God. I got hiccups from this fucking Saturday Boys.
So we're doing 1 through 10, you said?
Yeah, 1 through 10.
Are we allowed to do halves still or not?
Yeah, sure, why not?
I'd give it it's not quite an 8 for me.
Not quite an 8.
Not quite.
I think if you had asked me 5 years ago, I would have said a 10. Now I would say an 8, 9, 5. Almost a 9. I will acknowledge that there are some flaws, but it's just so damn good. It's so damn good.
There were a lot of really good things about it, which is why... Okay, so if you guys haven't heard enough of my running my mouth... I'm very critical of things, but it's not because I don't like it, it's because I want it to be perfect. Just because I'm super critical of it doesn't mean I don't enjoy it. So, I was really... less so. I kind of gave up on the criticism of this in a lot of ways. Because, I enjoyed it. But
this was his first novel.
I thought you said that this came... Oh, but it was released.
It was released much after, because everyone read it and liked it, but they were like, it's 178,000 words. We can't... No one knows who you are. He changed very, very little by the time it actually got published. So what we read was fundamentally how he had intended it from the word go. So, really impressive. But, for those who don't know, this was Michael Stackpole's first novel, and he tried to get this published. People liked it, but they were like, it's too big for a first-time author that no one knows your name. But how about you come over here and write these Mech Warrior books? And then he's like, how about you come over here and write these Star Wars novels and stuff like that? And he got some bestsellers under his belt, like Star Wars bestsellers. And at that point, they're like, okay, yeah, we'll publish.
We can work with you.
Yeah, we can work with you now. And since then, he's published some more of his own fiction.
I kind of want to read more of his fiction, just because I've only read...
He did one called The Dragon Crown War. Mm-hmm. It's 4 novels, I think, and I've read it, and it's good. It's kind of like a world that starts to get introduced, a fantasy world that starts to get introduced to gunpowder, is kind of the plot there.
Apparently, in the past 2 or 3 years, that's been a big thing, was gunpowder fantasy.
Yeah. But and he's got Once a Hero, or In Hero Years I'm Dead, or something like that. He's got some good stuff out there. But as far as I know, he also wrote a collection of short stories for Shadowrun.
Really?
Yeah, called Wolf and... Oh, God, I can never remember the other. But I read them, and they were good.
Shadowrun seems like the thing that I would like...
Shadowrun is the thing I would like to run the most, but I've never encountered a game system that was approachable enough for me to have to learn myself and then teach everybody how to play.
Really?
Yes. Have you ever looked at the rules of Shadowrun?
Mm-mm.
I
feel like we were...
I had Shadowrun 4th edition or something like that. It uses a point buy system without any real firm rules, how many points you start with. You can start with 210 points. You can start it's 180, whatever the DM lets you. and just character creation is so complex because of that. Like, you can create really cool characters.
Yeah.
It takes fucking hours to get characters made in D&D, and that's a system I'm intimately familiar with if I'm trying to teach everyone how to do it.
You ever thought about using just a normal D20 system? And
There's no Shadowrun version of that.
Well, what I mean is...
I mean, you could, but like the D20 Modern, like the D20 Sci-Fi and all those, I assume that someone has probably updated it to 5th edition, but I don't know that. But they were never really that deep. Like, for like D20 Modern, like you only had 5 classes, and it was strong, dexterous. Like, it was basically each stat was based on one, or each class was based on one stat.
We've gone far afield, Bob.
That's fair.
Really
but yeah, Shadowrun's great.
Yeah, I've always wanted to fiddle with that. But anyways,
read his short story collection; they're good.
I read his. I was at first introduced to him with his Star Wars, his Rogue Squadron.
Yeah,
which I really like.
But yeah, I bought Talion Revenant for like 50 cents from a library book sale years ago.
It changed the course of history.
But I read it and I loved it, and I think it is I would argue it's the best standalone fantasy novel that no one talks about, for real. Like, well, I say standalone. He's now writing more stuff in that, but like you never crops up on anybody's lists. I love this book. It has so much to offer, and no one ever seems to talk about it.
I'm telling you, it's because I don't really know what I was going to tell you. But look,
I think it's because fantasy people tend to want series. Like your average fantasy reader tends to want to read series. People are drawn to fantasy for the escapism and the world building, and it's easier to do that in series than standalones. It's easier to go deeper.
From my perspective, all I can tell you is the reason I wouldn't have done it, and that's just because when I hear Michael Stackpole, I think licensed work. And while those licensed works were good, I don't think original content.
Right.
So
that's fair.
I mean, that's why I would never.
But since then, I got that. I've since actually bought the book. Like he has received money from me for this book in royalty form.
Same.
And I've read other of his stuff, and I've actually met him a couple times at Dragon Con. He is awesome. He's and like super active on Twitter. He's probably the author that's quickest to really like take advantage of new technologies that I'm aware of. Yeah. Like, he was one of the first to really jump hard on Twitter. He was one of the first to really get behind ebooks and just on and on and on. Like, he's Johnny on the spot on technology. But that's enough about everything that's not to do with the book. Yeah. We're just general spoiler warning. If you haven't read the book and you think you're going to, probably just tune out, turn this off, because I'm not going to do this without talking about spoilers.
This is literally the wrap up of our read along.
Yeah, our read alongs. If you read the blog post, they're pretty spoiler free for the most part. Like, nothing's going to ruin anything. Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. Like, you won't have the book ruined for you by reading our blog post. But if you listen to this, it will 100% be ruined for you. So, what was your favorite anything to do with this book?
Man. My favorite anything... Well, look. The Dari are the best thing.
Alright.
But, they weren't in it enough. But they're fascinating. Like, that's a thing that I need more of.
Yeah. Dari are great.
But other than that, I think my favorite thing in the book would be the... God, I really don't know.
For me, the overall world building, fantastic. Fantastic. And I don't know why this resonates with me so hard, but I loved any scene that Ring was in. Those are my favorite. Like, oh, do I like Ring? No, I wish Ring would catch fire.
But I definitely like those.
I think those were the best chapters.
Yeah, I think we talked about it. The chapter with the Guardians.
Yeah. Yeah. That
was like my
cool.
favorite thing, probably.
World building wise, that was awesome. The giant chess set.
I think that was my second favorite thing, world building wise. The only thing I liked more than that was just the idea of the Dari scarring one side of their face and all standing a certain way as the sun goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
That was amazing.
The idea of the borrowed lands with the Fellerine.
That was
really cool.
But I didn't think it was as cool as those other two.
Oh, yeah. But I really liked that. I just really like the whole Talion setup. Like, basically, they're kind of like the UN peacekeepers of sorts. Yeah. That was really cool. What did you prefer? The past storyline or the present storyline?
That's tough.
Because if you haven't read it, and you're not going to, it alternates chapters. There's a like one half of the chapters take place in the present as Nolan is chasing down this guy named Mirai, and then he gets pulled off of chasing Mirai to go be basically the bodyguard to a king for reasons. And the other is it follows how he becomes a Talion.
I think I enjoyed the Talion storyline more than the Nolan storyline, but
same for me. Like, because I love the school setting, the whole war game chapter.
Well, no. I'm saying I like. The way it's phrased in the book, the Talion is the stuff where he's older.
Okay, well, I preferred I preferred the past storyline. My thing when it comes to the past story, I'm there with you when I like school setting. Yeah. I like the school setting. The Ring chapters were the best chapters, and I love the whole war game thing. Mm-hmm. I just fucking love that war game part.
I like the school setting stuff, but part of the thing that I like the most about that is the relationship with Marana.
Yeah,
and they didn't go into it enough.
That is my biggest. I think that is my biggest complaint with the book. Is because basically it's
my biggest.
They go to the war game. Mm-hmm. They hook up during the war game. They spend a week together.
Yeah.
They come down and instantly go out on their year-long challenge thing. And so he's not with her there. And then they basically get sent on a mission together, hook up for real, and then she's insane.
Yeah.
So, like, while I don't doubt the depth of their love or whatnot, but I'm old and bitter. I'm 33 and divorced at this point.
No.
Like,
I do doubt the depth of it.
And well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't doubt that they believe the depth of their love or whatnot, but they don't have life to temper that. Like, is basically what I'm saying. Like, I have no doubt that.
I don't even care. My problem with it is if you're gonna give me this as if it's a love this strong, because he still felt it when he was he was 23 in the grown up storyline. I would have bought it, but like I didn't get enough time to see the two of them together to feel like there was a real.
But that's my thing is because they fundamentally, as a couple, they had 2 weeks as a normal couple, and then she goes insane.
But I mean, they were super fucking close as friends before that, which is fine. Yeah. But I didn't get any of that either. That's my point.
Well, you get some. I mean, like you get the whole fight scene, the whole.
Yeah, you get. But I know. But what I'm saying
you get about as much of her as you get of Jevin.
Yeah. Well, there was not my. Well, my problem with this book is that I don't get enough of anything. Is because they're jumping back and forth, and I understand it's built that way, and I get that, but like.
Doing it that way made the twists so much more impactful.
Yeah, they did.
And if it was already 178,000 words, is the problem. Like the payoff was going the the front and back, forward and back in time, made the twists when you found them so much more impactful. The sacrifice was shit had to.
Here's the thing, though.
Had to go.
To me, it in a lot of ways it lessened the impact too. Like
to me it did. To me it definitely made
bear with me. I mean it does a lot form wise to increase the tension and increase the impact of it when it happens, but function wise, without having been more linear and spending more time with the characters, the emotional impact of finding out that Mirana's still alive and is going crazy and is part of the problem that was probably supposed to be more of a gut punch than it wasn't, because I didn't spend enough time with it. You see what I'm saying?
I think so it comes down to what, like, the argument you've made it here is, are you trying to appeal to more people or less? Because there are going to, like, just having the gut punch, like, oh shit, Mirana? Like, that's just such a twist that it's just a twist. Even take the even if there had never been any romance between them, it would still have been a what the fuck twist. Like, there was romance, it does add something to it, but like everyone is going to get unless they manage to figure that out, which I don't see how you could have. But like, a tiny fraction of people are going to have figured it out ahead of time. They're not going to be what the fuck. But 98% of people are going to be, what the fuck? Whereas, you can build up, but like, a lot of people aren't going to be swayed by just more romance. Because
I'm not even talking about necessarily, but see, it's not about the romance itself. It's about having more investment in the character. I had no investment in her, for the most part. Like, I liked her, and I wanted to like her more because of the situation they were in, but I wasn't given any of that, so I didn't get it.
I guess what I'm saying is he could have sunk 40 pages into their romance on this book. But that's the thing, like, for you to get invested is going to take X. For this person to get invested is going to take Y. For this person it's going to take Z. Like, there is just
whereas the plot is a known quantity.
It's a known quantity, and at the end of the day, Mirana is more of a plot device than a character.
That's a problem.
But the thing, I don't know, like, the amount that you would have to sink in to get the people invested in the character, your payoff, you're already getting a payoff. You're already getting that punch of like, oh shit, it's Mirana, for someone that you're killing. Like, you've sunk in, you've made people invested in this person. Some people aren't going to be invested in Mirana already. I was invested in her as I was with Lothar. Like, still, I mean, I was slightly more invested in Jevin.
Well, see, that was my thing.
Like, of the people who I was invested in, it was like Nolan, Jevin, her, and Lothar, and then like everyone else. And so, like, I get what you're saying, but I just don't know like how much.
But here's the counterpoint. I was more invested with him and Jevin. Jevin had less to do with the story than the other two characters did, so there should have been more time spent with those two and less with Jevin.
But you could have, but it would have had all been like. It would have had to all be in the past. Like, I think you had more impact with Jevin because you spend more time with Jevin in the present, like present and past. You get more Jevin than because the plot devices. Lothar is obviously a non-issue in the future, and Mirana is a non-issue. But the thing is, like, I think to get the Mirana stuff, like, it hints at Mirana's craziness, but like, obviously, there's, like, a 5-year gap there where Mirana's been running around doing stuff.
Yeah.
And he could have showed a chapter of that, like, showed a mission that him and Mirana went on in the past or something like that. But just, like, time, like...
That would have worked.
But timeline-wise, it doesn't, like... work in the structure of the book. Like, I definitely understand, like, there was not a ton of emotional investment in Mirana compared to what could have been, but I think you already got the punt. Like, you got what you needed out of her. Like, I know you would like more emotional investment with her, but I just don't know, like, at what cost? Do you then bog down the story? Because, like, the number one complaint I hear about this book is it does start kind of slow, and then, like, if you can make it halfway through, shit really pops off.
Here's my argument with that, though. The reason it bogs down at the beginning, in my opinion, is that the weakest part of the whole book is the characterization. That's the weakest part. The plot's good, the world's good. I would say maybe prose, but his prose is fine. It kind of fluctuates, but that's the way most people do, because there's some really cool parts, and then you have your work and stuff. You just got to tell the story. You just got to get to it. And but the character's the weakest part. And if more was done to make the characters definite, like defined, then earlier would be more interesting.
I get what you're saying, but I think the only time you can build up their relationship is in the back half of the book, and that's when shit's really popping, and then you're going to be showing chapters that are trying to build up Marana, and my worry is that it would bog it down.
I got you, but here's where I disagree, because I don't need more of them in a relationship together.
Well, that's the thing. It's all at that point they are in a relationship.
Yep. All I need is more of the character. So
but I also think, though, at that point you're not like the character. You're not going to get more emotionally invested in the character because the character is insane at that point. Like
I'm not talking about back then. What I'm saying is I just need more time with the character. I don't need it back then to show their relationship. I need it when she's younger, just so that I get a feeling of the character. Because then when she goes crazy, I'm hit pretty hard with that too. So just when they have the scene, like in the past,
with the whole, like, to me, like, you don't need her. Like, this is going to sound super sexist now. I mean, you don't need her for the emotional impact of her going crazy, because you're so invested in Nolan at this point. Like, I mean, Nolan's your main character. Like, even you could have never have met her really, but if you just know how in love he is with her, and then he's finally like really with her, and now she's insane. Like, he's finally like, he got 1 week in the cave. They've been gone. He's finally with her. Everything's behind them. They're about to become full-fledged Talions, and at the last moment, it's ripped from him.
Here's my problem. And so
that's hugely emotionally impacting.
Here's the problem with that. I didn't feel that at all, because the idea of finally, like, he mentioned that he was attracted to her twice before they actually hooked up. So when they hooked up, I was like, oh, cool, but like...
But to me, that makes sense. That makes sense for his character to me. Like, that made sense. Like, he didn't see it that way. Like,
he see what way?
That, I mean, he mentioned, like, oh, she's attractive, but she's with Lothar.
Yeah, but that's my point. It's like, when you were saying it to me, you were making it seem like he had been pining after her for a long time. Like, finally they get together.
Well, yeah, no, he gets with her, he falls in love, he's finally, that hole that's been in his heart is finally full, and then he has to spend a year away from her, and then, okay, we're finally reunited. Mm-hmm. They literally finally seal the deal, and the next morning, like, they have sex, they go to bed, he never sees her sane again. Mm-hmm. Like... God, that is so rough.
I know, but my point is, none of that even longing had any effect on me. Even like, because I liked the character, I like Nolan, but like, when you tell me that he cares, I don't care. I need to see them interact for me to care. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just, they have to spend time together, because like, you could literally...
I think that's going to be a difference, because like, to me, they spent enough time. Like on screen, like, I got enough of that. Like, there was no functional way to really add in more of that and have the plot remain intact.
Strongly disagree.
I mean, he could have...
I mean, because I'm not asking for them to be like more of a relationship. I'm just like, when they go to the party, have a little bit more with her and him bantering. That's all I need. Is you pepper that in there. You pepper things like that just to show that there's a little flirtation.
Well, it shows that in like the fight.
Yeah, that's one time they do it, and then they do it one more time in the war games, and then they hook up. A little bit more.
But I mean, and I get what you're saying, but it's like.
And here's the thing:
where you're trying to add more of this stuff in is the part where people already complain that it's boggy.
Yeah, and the reason it's boggy is because there's not enough interesting character development. Because it's all plot at that point.
That's not what y'all were telling me, though. What y'all basically what you were telling me was you just don't you don't see where this you don't get where this is going and stuff like that. And I don't think I don't think people are reading that God, I just don't. I don't really know who. I went to Goodreads and read a ton of fucking reviews. No one was sitting there saying I put the book down because I just didn't know who Marana was as a character.
That's
stuff like that.
Though.
It was people were I put this down because I got 5 chapters in and I just couldn't. And
when the story's not going anywhere, you keep people interested with interesting characters. So if the story's not going anywhere, then the characters.
I think if Nolan hasn't caught your interest.
Nolan never caught my he was I was with him because he was a first that's the trick of using first person narrative. You care for more from him because it's a first person.
He was interesting. The whole Mariah angle was fucking interesting. Jevin was interesting.
Being interesting and actually being a character are different things. Because there's no, who is Nolan as a person? He's a good person. He doesn't want people to be afraid. That's his entire character. He has
this hidden past. He's got this all this anguish from from his family dying and stuff like that. He's more than just he's a good guy. He doesn't want people to be scared of him. He's got depth to him.
I disagree. I think that he's very shallow. I think that he has a past, which is cool, but that's all plot. I felt no, because there's no. He has built-in differences, but he has no written differences. When he doesn't see his impression of how the world works is different, but he never expresses it differently. Or you don't really have another point of view to really be able to determine that. But he has no specific hobbies, which makes sense because of what he does. But he has no.
Well, I mean, he literally had no time for hobbies.
I know, but he has no.
Because.
Jevin's is a better character than him. Jevin at least has a more developed sense of humor. He constantly likes to eat different things. There's just more quirk and quirk's not even necessarily the right word. There's more character to him. There's I'm not saying he's not a good he's.
But I mean, you get players like Nolan being in his conversation with Jenna or was there
Celia?
Celia.
You're thinking Jania, I think.
Yeah. Celia. You get when he has
Yeah, and that.
He's a really good sport about all that. And he does have moments of humor and stuff like that. But he also
the problem with
to me, if anything, he's a more well-rounded Jevin. I love Jevin, but Jevin eats a lot and he cracks some jokes.
But he's also not the main character, and he's not
right. But he most if he hadn't been a Fellarine, he'd have been Lothar Marana. He stands out more because he's something so different. Otherwise, you'd have been well, I mean, Lothar is a noble. He's jealous. He has temper problems, but at his core, he's a good guy. I can list off as many interesting things about him as I can about Jevin. Things that stand out and have him fleshed out.
Shit, you said something that. What were you just saying? Oh, right. Another problem to me that, in my opinion, kind of strengthens my case that if you had just been more interesting character-wise earlier, then those episodes or those chapters don't bog down as much. I wasn't bogged down at all when he was hanging out with Celia because they were just walking around talking because I was getting character interaction. That's all I need. Them just like that actually was some of my favorite stuff in the entire book. Was just them two kind of feeling each other out, shooting the shit while they were traveling and when they were at the bar. Like that was super interesting to me. More interesting than the whole thing of him fighting the people at the beginning at the ferry.
Mm-hmm.
It's more interesting to me than that. Because there was interaction. There was people actually participating, like interacting with each other in a scene. Because part of the problem I had, like for example, with him and the princess later on, is they were around each other, but only like directly interacted sparsely. So the fact that he could be as attracted, attracted is not the right word, but maybe attracted is the right word.
I like on her end. Like I know that whole interaction really bothers you. It doesn't bother me, and here's why. Did they have a lot of interaction? No. But also, here's the thing. She was really into him, but she got interaction, but she also, like, got, like, they both are attractive. So there's baseline, that's there. They're young, they're attractive. But he's such an intriguing figure to her. She's not like anyone.
Yeah.
He's obviously brave. He has saved her family. Like, I can definitely see why she would be like, oh, yeah, this guy. But for him, I don't know that... I didn't read it as Nolan was falling in love with her. I think he was falling in love with the idea of falling in love with her. Like, he wasn't thinking like, yes, I'm going to get with this girl. I think he had assumed a role, and he could briefly live a life, and he's like, okay, like, he could see what it could be like while knowing the whole time, like, this is not my life, this is not what's going to happen, this is not how this goes down, but, and like, the thing that stands out to me when he talks about, like, well, at that moment, he really knew, like, he knew that he had lost her kind of deal, but it wasn't like the way I read it wasn't like, oh, damn,
yeah,
I've lost her. It was like, okay, this point was going to happen, and that's why none of that bothered me. Like I will agree that like I would have liked to see more build up with Marana, of them in a relationship, but plot wise, I just don't see how you could do it. But I would have liked that. I just don't think plot wise, as structured, it couldn't have worked. But with the princess, like because how I read it, I didn't see it as these two people like instantly fall in love. I think he was in love with the idea of being in love with her, and she was in love with the idea of him.
Yeah. Without
even really knowing him, she was just in love with the idea of him. And like, he was a cool guy. Hey, cool guy. That's why that part didn't really bother me.
Yeah.
So.
I had a problem with it. The reason I had a problem with it was because of the fact that they sold me on how much he cared about Marana, and he specifically says that this was the first time he had considered opening his heart up again. The fact that he would entertain that idea for someone who he's not really in love with the person, but the idea of the person, seemed weird to me because of the depth they were trying to sell me on for how much he cared about Marana, if that makes sense. That was where I
also like, it doesn't really go into this, but I think to me what was kind of understood was if my guess is if Stackpole were to write a book about Nolan and Marana post insanity, I don't think they're having sex. I don't think that they're like a conventional couple. Like, I think he still loves her, but it's not the same.
I actually obviously it's not the same, but I forget where, but they said something that gave me the impression that they were still like sleeping together. I forget what it was, but I specifically remember reading it going...
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, it was when she was crazy and talking about being pregnant.
Yeah.
He specifically said he hadn't been together with her in months. Sure, it could mean in the same place.
Yeah.
But it could also mean that he hadn't been with her in months.
Yeah, okay.
But that was something that made me...
But I don't know, just like, to me, is like... This is one of those deals like, I have no doubt that he still loved Marana, but I don't think it was at that point, and I have nothing really to base this on.
Yeah.
Just me thinking it through. Like, I don't think it was romantic love at that point. I think it was like love for oldest, dearest friend kind of love. And again, I have no evidence to back that up. So that was just kind of my thinking about the him-Marana relationship. And for all we know, Stackpole is writing a book. The one he's writing right now is Marana and him.
Let's move to something else because I don't want to keep complaining about it because there's stuff I like about it. So let's talk about the stuff I liked about it.
How about let's jump to the thing I want to talk about?
If it's the speculation of the next book, that's the last thing you do.
Okay.
I really liked him and Mirai the more I got of it. I didn't understand it at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it felt weird until I understood. And even
the whole Wolf Brotherhood thing.
Yeah, and even to that point, I was still like...
You know 100% my problem with that? That right there reads like I am setting up for the next book. Like, once you're done with it, the whole Wolf Brotherhood, like, everything about that, like, really and truly, it doesn't really... It's not necessary.
Right.
Like, you can just have their connection be because they've hunted, hunter connection.
Yeah,
kind of deal.
Except for they wanted to make it more friendly instead of adversarial.
Right, but you could have done that in other ways. The whole Wolf Brotherhood thing is kind of a weird aside. Kinda.
I understand that they needed to do that to give him the reason to build the darts so that he could stop Marana.
You could have had him just... Mirai could have never been part of that bandit group.
Yeah.
So, killing two birds with one stone, that's fine. Like, I don't know, just that whole thing seemed a little... It was cool, while at the same time seeming a little out of place. Like, that chapter really stands out as, like, a weird offshoot kind of deal to me. And... like, it feels different to me. Like, it's a weird chapter to me. There's nothing structurally wrong with it. It's just, to me, it's a weird chapter. But, and like, especially how the epilogue ends, like, all that seems like, oh, well, we're built, like, this is building up for the
buddy cop show.
For the buddy cop movie. Yeah. Or the buddy cop next book. Is kind of how it felt to me.
Yeah.
But, Mirai's great. I like that he can't read.
Yeah, that was really cool. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, it's like little tweaks like that are just really, really... I enjoy stuff like that. Like, he's this super genius criminal, but he can't read.
I really like that, because the interesting part is when I read that, and we've discussed this, but like, when I read the note, I was like, that's not him.
Yeah.
Like, I immediately thought that. And he realized it too, but for a completely different reason. Because his reasoning was like, dude can't write. Yeah. But to me, I was like, he wouldn't have called him Lord Nolan, and that wouldn't have been the password. Yeah. Because he would have used something.
He'd probably just used the actual password, dry
the one that they had already used, or Justice, or like something. Yeah. Other than the thing that literally everyone knows about him, which is his name. Right. Man, those people were really bad at their jobs for trying to take over a fucking country.
They really were. And I like how, like, everyone is freaking out, like, oh, we're going to, like, everyone was expecting everyone else to take over kind of deal. It's like everyone's like,
I love how nothing came of that.
Yeah, nothing ever comes of that.
Nothing.
Because, that was, because Vidor didn't really. Yeah. But still, it was, but I
want to rename this book 380 something pages of not knowing what a sword looks like, because I finally did get it.
Remember when y'all were like, it doesn't describe him? I was like,
you thought it was when he was cleaning it.
I thought it was in the Shar ceremony that it, and it is but it's Shar. It's the first one. Like I was like, God, I just swear I remember that they described these. But yes, no, that should.
Man, I'm not gonna lie, that made me feel so much better.
That should have happened so much earlier.
Because I know it's a simple thing, but it was just a little nagging thing that was constantly with me the whole book. Yeah. And I was just like, and then I finally got it, and I was like, yes! Yeah. And then, like I told you, I kind of got pissed. Like, you could have done that like 300 pages ago? Come on, man. I'm not.
Any time that he used a weapon.
Yeah.
Like when he doesn't he pull a dagger on the kid who set up to ambush him or something like that? Doesn't he pull his Reichwell on that?
Yeah.
Like he could have described the Reichwell. Yeah.
There's plenty, but whatever. I finally got it, and that's all I wanted. Yeah. But I wish I had gotten it significantly sooner.
Yeah.
But there was. I don't have my book here.
I had
a favorite line in the book.
Okay. I think so. The strongest element of this book, by far, I think would agree is. Well, I was going to say plot.
World building, in my opinion.
Well, because the thing about it is it has really cool world building flair, but there's a lot of flary cool things, but I really think to me the plot, just the way the two storylines thread together for greater impact.
Not technically plot, that's construction. And it matters because plot wise, I think it's not super strong. It had a really good conclusion and climax, but I feel like the plot itself wasn't that strong purely because the way it was structured made it take longer before the interest point to the amp up to the climb to the climax, because it didn't get to okay, you read the back of the book, right?
Yeah.
You read the back of the book and it tells you what the story's about. You don't get to the beginning of that part of the story until over 200 pages into the book. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if it just means it made a steeper ramp up, but that was because of the way it was constructed. I think construction is its strongest point. Okay. But the plot suffered a little bit because of the construction.
I think the worst thing about this book is the description on the back.
You could make that argument.
It kind of sort of spoils the twist. Kind of. Not great.
Which twist?
The one that they killed his family. It hints at one of the bigger twists, that he is actually the heir.
Yeah.
The back of the book is.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't Was I surprised? No. But let me rephrase that. Was I shocked? No. Surprised? Yes. It didn't really. I didn't see that part coming.
Yeah.
But I saw Marana coming, which is something we haven't talked about yet.
I didn't see Marana coming.
I didn't see it coming a long when they mentioned her dead. I was like, I bet you she's not dead. I was pissed off because I thought I wasn't. Well, I didn't get any more of her in current timeline.
Yeah.
But I didn't know she was crazy, so it wouldn't have been that fun, anyways. But as soon as they said she was dead, and they kind of did it the way they did it, I was like, I don't think she's dead, or she's gonna show back up, or maybe she faked her death. Something's not right about that, and I couldn't. And then as we got further in, once she had the part where she screamed and kind of went insane. Before she was very clearly insane, but when she was just troubled, I was like, she's coming back and she's a part of the ending. This is a thing. And then when it got to the part right before him and Lothar fought, I was like, oh, I know what this. I know what's happening here. I get this. And then when it got to when he said something and he couldn't hear him.
Yeah.
And he pulled him up and passed out, and then he woke up and he was dead. I was like, oh, shit, she killed him. Yeah, she definitely killed him.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, she killed him, but he just got hit with that. That's definitely... Oh, she's definitely... It was her. It wasn't Lothar. 100%. So I figured that part out, right before, but there was something about it. I was like, ah.
See, when I was reading it, I thought it was going...
Because the Lothar shit...
I thought it was going to be Lothar. I was thinking... Because, you don't find out that she actually killed Lothar.
Yeah.
You just, he went over the cliffs.
Yeah. But
and so I was like, oh, well, he's not dead. He's now getting revenge against Nolan, is what I thought.
I spent the whole book going, So, when you're writing a book, you make promises, and then you make sure that you, kind of...
Fulfill them,
yeah. The only promise I think this book made that was never fulfilled was just Jevin, which I feel like he was there, and there was Like, he was good for showing his companion and, like you said, showing him afterwards, but I feel like there was a little bit of a promise that he was going to do something, and then he just didn't need to do it. But they did kind of use him like that looming, like, if you fuck up, I'm going to come in and wreck shit.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to show up at the end, like, something was going to happen, people were going to think he was dead, and then he was going to come flying in, and then they were going to fight at the end together. I thought that was going to happen.
Like, everything about this book, the more I think about it, the more it reads like it was... And even the way... Like, the book is not called Talion.
Yeah.
The book is Talion.
Revenant.
Because everything about this book is written to have more books. You know?
Yeah.
And, like... I mean, you could even, like... He could keep this pattern going. Like, he didn't... Really and truly, he didn't show that much of their training, you know, growing up. Like, the next book...
Well, see, that's what they do in
a bunch of, like,
Bastards.
Could still do the back and forth, like, could do it.
Could show more Lothar stuff before they hated each other, before he hooked up with Morana. They could go back.
Or, Lothar's still alive.
That would be interesting, because I was pretty confident that he was dead at that point. But
he could still be. Because Morana was crazy when she killed, and she also said that she was pregnant, you know? So, I mean, you can't believe everything.
Full crazy at that point?
I don't...
Or did she get worse over the years?
She already tried to kill herself once, and, you know, and, like...
Here's the thing, though, the way I look at it...
I think she was so unbelievable of a narrator at that point that everything is up for debate.
But here's the reason I say that. I feel like she tried to kill herself because she was crazy, but she was, like, distraught over it at that point. I think her mind hadn't had time to continuously deteriorate to the point where she was... When she thought she was pregnant and all that shit. I feel like at that point she was just emotional, distraught, and like was just desperate. That's why she did. That's why she tried to kill herself. But I feel
arguably that could have been when she was at her worst. This could be where she was better. Because I mean, a lot of times that's how that works. You know, it's like you have the traumatic event and you gradually get better over time. Could be. I don't think we have enough.
But
I definitely think at the very end she had unraveled. Yeah. But
don't know enough about what happened between those times to know.
Yeah.
But I.
Can we get to the part I want to do now?
Since I think it could have something to do with something that I want to talk about now, then yes.
All right. So, for those who don't know, I've been anxiously awaiting more. Like, every 6 months or so, I go online and look to see if there's any news on there being another Talion book. And over the years, Stackpole, at first he said, like, you know, if I sell 10,000 copies of Talion, I will write a sequel. I'll take the time off to write a sequel. And then ebooks hit, and he changed, like, you know what? Because of the nature of ebooks, I've got the rights to this book. Like, if I sell 5,000 copies of it, I will do it. And that was like years apart, kind of deal, I think, or maybe like a year apart. Well, then there was like no word. Well, Stackpole's on Patreon now, and what he's doing is he's basically putting out a monthly zine of his short fiction set in his worlds, and apparently he's doing a serialized Talion novel called Talion Nemesis. So, which makes me think, Nemesis? Lothar? Question mark?
That's why I wanted to talk about this now. It could be, and I think...
Or it could be Morai.
But here's the thing. The way the second book or the first book ends, that makes a lot of sense, because they're headed to Giania.
Yeah.
So, like... I think the next book... You said speculatively that you wish, that you kind of hope that they would do something in the... what's it called? The
Borrowed Lands.
The Borrowed Lands.
Yeah.
But the way it ends with them going to Giania, I'm like, okay, I want to see what's going on there. Because I wanted to see, like, Morai go in there, cause trouble, and them have to bring back the Talions to Giania. And the reason they don't have them anymore is because he died.
Yeah.
But, like, maybe he comes back, or maybe he's been alive this whole time. They've been pulled in to create a force of their own Talions to, like, try and take over.
Evil Talions.
Yeah, because he's got the training. He knows how to train.
Yeah.
And they won't let them back in, so they're kind of taking care of themselves. Maybe they're like, we're tired of them being this force in the world.
Yeah.
And they Could be something like that. Like there's
or
a lot.
maybe Lothar's gone to Imperiana.
Yeah.
Who they're all pricks. Apparently, that's
apparently.
the natural attribute of Imperiana. Is they're all
the,
assholes.
The Captain Herman or whatever.
Captain Herman.
Yeah.
Basically, anyone who's a dick in that book is from Imperiana. But
it's almost like they don't like imperialists.
Well, like maybe Nolan, or not Nolan, but Lothar is going to help Imperiana rebuild the empire.
I like mine better.
Who knows?
Where he's just building a new Talion force in Jania.
Yeah.
And I wanted more of his fucking uncle. Is his uncle still alive? From the party, he was really cool. I liked him.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if he is. I think that would be a cool storyline. I would, while I think Lothar could be alive, I'd be a little miffed if he actually was. Like, him being alive in this book
would have made sense.
But if he's alive in the second book, to me it's like, okay, you're really doing the whole dead person from their past has come back alive, is actually alive thing. 2 books back to back. That's a little... That, to me...
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it'd be back to back. That'd have been that's a bit much. So, while that would be cool...
Do something else and then have that be a third book.
Here's what I want. But
it's called Nemesis. That's the only thing I thought.
Because Mirai. I want...
No.
Mirai.
I nixed this idea,
The
Bob.
Borrowed
No,
Lands...
I refuse.
Is come up. It's times like 25. Because he's like 23. Mm-hmm. It's every 25 years.
Is he the same age as... yeah, he would be the same age, yeah.
Yeah, he's the same age as Jevin.
Yeah.
So, I
want to see him going...
The Borrowed Land thing comes up in 2 years. What if Mirai has been hired to ensure that, the humans win, and Jevin and Nolan have to go there just to ensure it's a fair fight?
Look, man, I literally don't even care. Nolan doesn't have to... It's called Talion, not Nolan.
True.
Just send Jevin, let me have a Jevin book.
That
was the thing. I really wanted a Jevin book, but I didn't know how it would work being a different race inside the first person perspective of that.
Because I think that, I'm really about that because Stackpole's a great writer, but I would just worry that a Fellerine would just be a tall human. A big, fat human. I don't know... Well, and granted, he was raised by a human, so it kind of makes sense for him to be a little more human inclination. But I don't know. I think Jevin returning to the Borrowed Lands as Italian now, that would be a cool story.
Yeah. Look, you know how I am. I love any time somebody goes home or anybody returns to a place is my favorite trope in anything ever.
I would like that. I don't think you could do one centered on the Dari. Because all the Dari look alike. They're all heavily scarred. You can't really have, Dari doing super sneaky stuff because they can't really disguise themselves that well, And they're kind of kind of real focused kind of deal. I don't see them as being,
We could have a jihad.
You could, but Italian's not going to stop a jihad. You could, but that's more of the archers and the warriors and the lancers. That's
Italians, not justice.
True. But to me, I think that the justices are the most interesting. I'm reading this. I'm reading this for the justices, not the lancers.
Bear with me. What if that was the story? They did a Dari story about a jihad, and they wrote an Italian story where they followed a small company of lancers and archers. Mm-hmm. A la Black Company, just a small group of brothers that are going out to try. You like a small group of?
I do, but I don't know. Is he going to write it first person, or you have multiple viewpoint characters? To me, the Talions are the most interesting.
Justices.
The justices are the most interesting. If I'm reading this and I'm reading about Talions, I want to read about justices because also Lancers aren't really solo operators. They're to me, I want to read about a justice because they can go do solo, run off, do shit, or you can throw a couple of them together, or just one off. To me, I want to read a story about justices, and I want more Mirai. The only thing is, I think if this were to go multiple books in the series, I think it would get kind of old if Mirai perpetually one-ups Nolan. And so I think at some point, Mirai is going to have to become a for real good guy. He's going to have to do something to get pardoned of his crimes.
Here's the thing.
But like, because here's the other thing that doesn't really get addressed. Like, Mirai definitely, like, okay, he did, like, the ferryman, he definitely didn't actively do anything against the ferryman in the opening book, but if Nolan hadn't come along, or if Nolan had died, like, would have because it got kind of touchy there for Nolan.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, it could have easily have led to the death of a ton of people.
Which is, like, the problem I've had with it the whole time, but it makes perfect sense for His Excellency. If he's working as a
Oh, he's working
services.
for his... You're saying for His Excellency, the character, not that Mirai is...
He didn't have to have a name, it is His Excellency.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought you were saying that Mirai's Excellency.
Well, I just couldn't think of...
But yeah, no, he is His Excellency.
But no, yeah, because, like... He's like, I'll let anybody, like, if it's for the purpose of us,
true,
I'll do it. I won't like it, but I'll do it.
And I would actually, I would really enjoy it if that turned out to be true. That
was my
Mirai
thing.
Is an active.
That's how
excellent.
you do it. It's like,
I love
because
that.
even if he keeps one-upping Nolan, if you find out that he's a part of the Talions, and it's like, oh, okay,
yeah,
because it doesn't matter anymore. The
right.
problem is if he's outsmarting him every time, and he's an actual villain.
Right.
That's the problem.
So it's kind of one of those deals. Like, I want to know. Like, I'm going to sign up for Stackpole's Patreon because I got to read this.
And I'm going to piggyback off of you.
I want to know if he's like, is he intended on trying to make this a series?
I don't know.
Or is he writing Talion Nemesis and then he's done with it because he's made us happy, or what? I don't know. All in all, good read.
Like, it's a good beginning. It's a standalone, and it did, the things that it wanted to do, but, like, it's a setup for more. And if I don't get more, then I don't I feel like there is a better way to have a better way to have done it if it was never going to have more to it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
But, I really think the colon, I don't think he ever, because he apparently had, like, the next draft, or, like, I don't know if it was a full draft, but he had work done on a sequel at one point, and apparently Nemesis is basically just that draft. So, obviously, he never intended for it to be a standalone. He just, no one was looking to buy it off of him.
It makes
apparently.
sense to me.
But also, I don't know, the way he's getting, man, I can't blame him. If I was in his shoes,
my thing is, if that's your baby, if that's like the thing that you like writing, fucking write it. I'll buy it.
Well, no, the thing about, like, the way he is, like, I think it makes more sense for him to do it this way because he's getting all the money off of it. Like, because the thing about it is, like, Talion never sold that well. That's like if it sold like gangbusters, they would have instantly been like, give us the next. But it didn't because people are dumb and they hate good things.
It's because they knew him as a Mech Warrior writer.
Yeah.
Or a Star Wars writer.
Well, all right. We are not going to do another read-along for a long time. This is going to, because I hate reading like this, and I make the podcast, so we're not doing another read-along until we have more people who want to do it, basically. It's not worth doing all this work for me, Derek, and Tanya, to Superfan Tanya, to read it. So we do want to do another in the future, and we will. We just when more of y'all are paying attention.
We can do joint reads though. Me and you reading the same thing, and then making a thing at the end.
True.
Of it like this.
True. Well, really, what
it
it needs to be is you just need to pick a book I've read recently and just read it.
Yeah.
Because I read so many more.
I just need to read a good book that you haven't read, and then when I find one that I think you like, tell you to read it. Because you'll be able to catch up in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Whereas it'll take me a month to read it.
That could work. But yeah, so not going to do another read-along for a while. We will do them in the future. But if you really like the read-along, kind of stuff, I mean, just get on our short read tall glass, you know. But yeah, we want to hear what your thoughts are. Please, especially if you've read this book, or if we encourage you to read this book. Probably not. We were a little hard on it, but
well, that's why I specifically said.
Yeah, no, but like we both love this book. Well, I really love this book.
I really liked it.
Do you really liked it? This is still one of my all-time favorite books. Hope you go out and read it. Just hope you enjoyed. Not sure when this is going to go up, but whenever you're listening to it, guess what? It went up.
Ta-da!
And
magic.
Right. So anyway, I challenge you in the coming week to go forth and grow a great beard.